I can say and predict what you're going to say about this next game. The Texans defense is good enough to win games all by itself. If that would be a great t-shirt, it's just too much to fit. That was last week when we both picked the Houston Texans to win on Sunday Night Football against the Kansas City Chiefs, and they did. I wish I had been more accurate in some of my other picks. It was not a good week for me. It was barely better for you, but here we are, 14 weeks in with 4 weeks left, 5 weeks left. How many weeks left? 15, 16, 17, 18. 4 weeks left in the season. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty. It's the Joint Mega Picks podcast. I am slightly askew today because we're starting earlier than usual. You know what, in hindsight, because just peel back the curtain, we're doing this about 15 or 20 minutes after we finish PFT Live. We should have just kept going. It was just enough time to completely me up. We should have just kept going straight into the Picks podcast.
Right. Gave you just enough time to do one thing to go, wait, I think I could do something else and relax a little bit, to then go, oh, man, I got to rev up the engine again. I will say, right, in my old man ways here, right, because you're every week, you're becoming Mike Francesa. I can't believe it's week 5. I can't believe it's week 8. But this week, it hit me a little. When I looked at the schedule and went, man, it's week 15. It was the first time, and I have this every year, where I get sad at the end of the NFL season. You can just go, man, we're getting there. It's like 4 weeks left. I mean, in another 10 weeks, there's going to be no more football. And that's always like the saddest week of the year right after the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I kind of had one of those moments picking these games this week.
And look, it all changes after the regular season ends, and all of a sudden there's no Monday night game. There's no Thursday night game. I know there's a Monday night playoff game, but it's just different. There's only 3 Thursday night games left, and 2 of them are true Thursday night games. The last one is Christmas night, which doesn't feel like Thursday. Christmas is its own day. There's only 2 real Thursday night games. There's only 3 Monday night games in the regular season. So I try to enjoy all of them, even if they're not compelling, because, yeah, the sand is running out of the hourglass. The postseason is going to be here. Everything changes when the postseason starts, and off we go. I don't know what this is. I don't know why I'm the Colts mascot. I have no beef with the Indianapolis Colts. Chris Simms, only a year older than Phillip Rivers. That was
I guess that's what it is there.
Old Man Rivers. That was the next call on the list after Phillip Rivers. The next guy we're going to call is Chris Simms.
Yeah, right.
How about this? 7-7 straight up my butt last week, and 9-5 against the spread. That's probably the first time I've ever been better against the spread than straight up.
Well, you've been the needle threader a lot lately, so I can understand that. But yeah, I mean, that is pretty amazing that you did that. And last week was a pretty crazy week. I mean, there was definitely, it was some unexpected results, certainly. And then you always try to pick a few like, oh, I think this upset can happen. And if that doesn't happen, then, of course, you go, oh, no, I'm wrong about my upsets. And you come up and you look at it a bad record. Like 8-6 straight up, 7-7. Yeah, we should be better than that. But your 9-5 versus the spread is very impressive.
Especially with as crazy as last week was. Pete tells me it's the 3rd time this year I've been better against the spread than straight up, which tells you how much I remember about any of these lather, rinse, repeat Thursday morning Picks podcast sessions. All right, every week this season you can play along with us. DraftKings has set up the free $1,000 Florio and Simms Pick 'em Pool. Pick every game against the spread for a chance at a $1,000 prize pool every week.
Download the DraftKings app, click on the Pools tab, and enter the Florio and Simms free $1,000 Pick 'em Pool to make your picks.
No Thursday night football game in the pool. You have until Sunday's game to get your picks in, and you'll have 15 games to choose from because everyone plays this weekend, and most of the games are going to be on Sunday because it's just the Thursday and the Monday. This is one of the busiest Sundays of the entire regular season, really, because it's everyone except for the Thursday and Monday night game. All right, let's get to it because we got a lot of ground to cover here. On Thursday Night Football, the 4-9 Atlanta Falcons are visiting the 7-6 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chris is going to be there. I thought you were wearing your creamsicle jersey for this.
Well, hold on a second. What am I doing? I forgot.
What happened?
I forgot. Hold on. I'm just going to put it on right now, live, and
Were you
going to
put it on
way.
now?
I am. Damn it. I meant to do it.
All right. Yeah, this is great TV.
Yep, here we go. But go ahead. You want to break it down first, or I can break it down as I put this on?
Go ahead. Break it down as you put it on.
Okay. All right. As I put it on, and I talk to you here, all right, first off is, yeah, it's a big game. It's the 50th anniversary of the damn Buccaneers. It's a celebration night. All the legends are going to be there. That's why I got my gear on here. So I'm pumped about it. And it's a big game, too, because of course, what's at stake here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've discussed this on the show a lot this morning. I mean, the Buccaneers have not looked good in quite some time. They have not played good football. All right, so because of that, they got to get back on track and start getting in playoff form here. That's what you worry about right now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You lose 4 out of 5. They've lost 5 out of 7, right? The defense hasn't turned in or never turned the corner and gotten any better. The offensive weapons are back. That's where they need tonight to start the building blocks to become an explosive and one of the better offenses of football like we saw early on in the year, right? Also on top of that, the Falcons on a downfall. I mean, they really are. I don't know what to expect of them. I don't know if the Falcons are good enough in the pass game to take advantage totally of the deficiencies the Bucs have in the secondary. So because of the night, right, the importance not only to the organization and then, of course, what it means for the NFC South. And, I mean, they know I'm going to be there, okay? I'm going Bucs 27-20. Of course I am on a Thursday night here. Damn, I look good.
Yeah, hey, who's the old man in the Emeka Ibuka jersey? That's what they're going to be saying. Who's the old man wearing the Emeka Ibuka jersey? So I think that one of the hardest parts of this week, there are so many potential trap games with non-contenders going up against contenders. How focused will the contenders be? Will they view this as an easy win? All we have to do is show up. What are the non-contenders playing for? Do they really care? Do they just want to finish the season and get on with their lives, get their vacation plans set in stone, avoid an injury that would require them to have surgery and rehab in what otherwise is their limited personal time away from football? Are coaches on the hot seat? Do the players care? Are they responding? Or are they just ready to be done with this? There are so many different factors that go into it that you never can really know unless you're in the locker room and around the team and able to really have your finger on the pulse of how it feels. So with all that said, we still have to make the picks. The Falcons are done. The Buccaneers are trying to hold on. They've got 2 showdowns coming up against the Carolina Panthers. Kirk Cousins had 2 strong games against the Bucs last year. I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off again. He seems like a different guy than he was last year. Definitely a different guy than he was before he tore the Achilles tendon. But the thing that concerns me about the Bucs, I mean, my concern about the Buccaneers is encapsulated in one roster move they made this week. Signing Jason Pierre-Paul to the practice squad. That tells me they believe they got nothing. Like, that's just that's the equivalent of the Colts signing Phillip Rivers. We got nothing. We got nothing, and we're going to bring back a guy who used to play for us at a time when everything was going better, and maybe things will go better than they've been going. They haven't been going well. All that said, though, we got to pick a winner. And we start the week, and it's been a while. We start the week with a bingo, bango, bongo. 27-20.
Is that right?
Buccaneers over the Falcons.
I love it. Oh, now it's going to happen. Now, man, Then we have the chance for the bingo, bango, bunghole tonight if it does hit, which would be our first time ever. And if it is, I will be taking a picture with other people that are legends of the Bucs and caption that with bingo, bango, bunghole, and I'll send it to you, and we'll have fun with that.
What you need to do if that happens, you need to throw a football into the bunghole of the pirate ship. That's what you need to do, like you did after you scored your touchdown in the playoff game some 20 years ago. Okay, let's get to Sunday. Browns at the Bears. The Browns are done at 3-10. They're giving Shedeur Sanders an extended look for the rest of the year. They've announced he'll be the starter. The Bears, after that great run, they won 9 out of 10 games. They lost to the Packers in a game that it was closer at the end than we thought it was going to be because it started 14-3 Packers. Bears are favored by 7.5 with an over-under of 38.5. Do the Bears get back on the right track after they plunged from the 1 seed to the 7th seed in one afternoon in Green Bay.
Well, listen, I'm interested to see Shedeur Sanders on the road for the first time, right? That's going to be fun to see. In that element, dealing with crowd noise. He hasn't had to deal with that yet. He's been at home in a favorable environment. So that's awesome. Okay. And then I look on top of that, and I'm glad they named him the starter for the rest of the year. Duh. I mean, you got to see what he's all about. And of course, the game last week was pretty damn good to where you would think, like, you don't even have to say that. He should be the starter for the year. But this game has a chance to be crazy, in my opinion. That's where, I mean, it can go crazy a bunch of different ways. Now, would it shock me if Cleveland had a bunch of sacks and Caleb Williams held the ball and maybe made some turnovers? No, it would not shock me. And we know Caleb Williams can hold the ball and try to make magic happen maybe a little too much at times. That's not the group to do this against, right? So I worry about that craziness because it's two aggressive coaches. It's Jim Schwartz, people at the line of scrimmage. Man, we're going to blitz. We're going to drop this guy out. We're going to put pressure on you every play. But it's Ben Johnson, the psycho, on the other side of the ball. So the flip side is like, yeah, could I see the Cleveland Browns making plays and doing that? Yeah. But I tend to lean to, I feel like Cleveland maybe can be too aggressive on defense, and this is a team you better be careful about being too aggressive. Ben Johnson will have some plays. They got some receivers that can stretch the field. Caleb Williams can throw the deep ball and all of that. So that's where I guess I'm going to play the battle of the aggressive coaches. I'm going to give advantage to the Bears because they're playing better football right now. They're at home. The Bears' defense has been better here lately, and the Bears need this because we know the last few games on the schedule are very hard. So this is one where you go, yeah, Cleveland's not going to the playoffs. You need to win this one if you want to get in. It's just Caleb Williams don't do too much. Bears 27-14.
Yeah, I got 20-10 Bears, and this falls into the same bucket as the other one, and there are many games like that this week. Non-playoff team already eliminated or close to it, playing a team that is playing for something, and the Bears cannot afford to slip up now with the way the season ends for them. There's going to be a good team or two in the NFC, a team good enough to maybe navigate its way to the Super Bowl that's going to be left out. The Bears, after everything they've been through last year and the improvements this year and that stretch of 9 wins in 10 games, they can't allow that to happen to them. The Bears, facing a dangerous opponent, I think they get the win 20-10. We pivot now to Cincinnati, the rematch of the game that we saw Thanksgiving night when the Bengals went into Baltimore and beat the Ravens. The Ravens, after winning 5 in a row, have now lost 2 in a row. They're 6-7. Cincinnati is 4-9 after that heartbreaker in Buffalo when they were up 28-18 in the fourth quarter and blew it. Baltimore is favored on the road by 2.5. Cincinnati will be officially eliminated from playoff contention if they lose. Will they lose?
I expect them to lose. I mean, they're scary. We know that. I believe in that in the Bengals, but like as we saw last week, it almost has to go perfect for the offense and everything they do for them to win the game. If Joe Burrow makes a mistake, it's like I don't know if the team can rebound from it. That's the issue with the Bengals, right? The Ravens, we talked about it, played good football ever since their bye week. And I'm still not ready to say it was bad football just because they lost 2 games. They got to stop. They got a little unlucky last week. Let's just be real, right? They got unlucky. Some of those calls that went against them, or they got the whole league scratching their head going, what the hell are the rules of the NFL anymore? I don't even understand it. So we got that. And then the week before against the Bengals, they shot themselves in the foot. I'm not saying they would have won the game, but Lamar Jackson fumbling on his own 4-yard line and Isaiah likely fumbling as he's going in the end zone and then calling up Kim Jong-un and giving him the ball away, North Korea rule, yeah, that hurt the football team. I think they get back on track in this football game. I mean, again, it's a desperation game. And then I think the Bengals, right, I still have no faith in their defense. And I guess I'm a little still hopeful that the Ravens can turn around their offense and what they're doing there. They need better offensive line play. They need to protect a little bit better. Lamar hasn't been at his best, but I'm going Ravens 27-24. Close one here.
There's, I think, a couple of fascinating dynamics here. I'm going to start with the Ravens.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that 1 loss is going to become 2 for them. I'm concerned that even though they got screwed with 3 calls, one of which the NFL admitted was incorrect, the other 2 They haven't admitted anything. We'll see if Walt Anderson is on NFL Network's game day morning on Sunday to explain what is a catch, what isn't a catch, what happened with the Rodgers play, what happened with the likely play. My guess is that some in the organization would have preferred to just move on and let it be so they can just refocus on the task at hand instead of just feeling like, not our day, not our year. Let's just get out of here. It's not in the cards for us. Yada, yada. We've talked about that before, how one loss can become two. I'm concerned about that. I'm also fascinated by the reaction to Joe Burrow's comments from Wednesday when it became very clear that he's not having fun playing football. How will that be received by the coaching staff and by the players? Will the players feel like they've let him down? Will that spark something from them? Will he, after going through this existential crisis on Wednesday, decide, you know what, I'm just going to live every day to the fullest and I'm going to play every game as if it is a playoff game and I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to get the most I can out of my talents and the hell with whether or not there's enough of a good team around me or whether or not the front office is too cheap for its own good, and I'm just going to go out and play and I'm going to pretend like I'm opening a box of Pokemon cards on Sunday. So I think those things line up for the Bengals to win the game 30-24. Gut feeling.
Okay.
Pasta and meatballs.
I hear you.
Chili and cheddar cheese style. I think the Bengals win.
Okay. I don't think you're crazy. I certainly won't be making it a best bet. I mean, I know I see the spread at 2.5. I got them winning by 3. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. You're right. There's some intriguing off-the-field little nuance here to this football game. But yeah, Joe Burrow and company. Is T. Higgins. That's going to be one of the things, too, right? That's what we got to mention. Is he going to be able to play this weekend? It looked like he got about 4 concussions last week. Right.
Do they have no concern for optics? He was limited in practice on Wednesday. If he's cleared to play on Sunday, there is absolutely no concern for the optics. And if they let him finish the game, if his head hits the ground again and they check him out and they put him back in, I really was surprised. And I don't know what they can do to change the rules, but for a guy who just came back from a concussion, to hit your head on the ground multiple times, be checked multiple times, cleared to return, and then after the game, they realize you've got concussion symptoms. Something is wrong there. And it will feel wrong if he's allowed to play again on Sunday, but hey, if you pass all the checks, you pass all the checks. That's the way football is. I'll be surprised if he plays, but obviously they're far more likely to win if he does.
Yeah, no, I hear that, and we're going to see because he's dangerous, and when those three are on the field, it's fun to watch.
Arizona Cardinals traveling to Texas to take on the Houston Texans. Arizona is 3-10 after starting 2-0. The Texans 8-5 after starting 0-3. They've won 5 in a row. They're favored by 9.5 with an over/under of 42.5. You are 12-1 picking the winner of Arizona games. I'm 10-3 picking against the spread in Houston games. You're going to pick the Texans to win this one because their defense can win games all by themselves.
That's damn right.
Will they exceed the 9.5-point spread?
I expect them to, right? I do. I mean, again, this is another team, almost like we talked about with Atlanta and Arizona, where you feel like it's just got a little of the dead man walking syndrome, where it's just like it feels like the team has gone, oh my God, it's a disaster. We can't find a way to win a football game, right? Last week's loss to the Rams was devastating. They showed a little fight against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2 weeks ago, but you feel like that might have been the last gasp of air. Their offense, as we know, it's work for them to go down the field. Jacoby Brissett can make some plays, but damn, this defense is so freaking awesome. And I just think it's going to continue to get better. And as I've told you too, this is a reeling Arizona defense, and I do think it's a Houston offense that's close. It's close. It really is. They got to tighten it up a little bit. They got to limit some penalties. I think C.J. Stroud's kind of getting a groove here, but I look at this game as like I'd almost be shocked if Houston's defense didn't score a touchdown or didn't set up the Texans' offense at like the 5-yard line one time. Dominant, slow beatdown by the Houston Texans, 27-9.
23-6. We're kind of in the same. We rarely pick blowouts like that, but yeah. I see a suffocation of the Arizona offense, a team whose season has long been lost. They're out of the playoff chase. I think it's just a matter of time before Jonathan Gannon is no longer the head coach, and they're going against a very dangerous team that I think would like to come out and make a statement and just remind everyone, this is a team to be reckoned with, and they are not going to take their foot off the gas as they try to win one of the 7 playoff spots. All right, another dangerous game, potentially, between a non-contender and a technically division leader in the Jacksonville Jaguars, because they're ahead on tiebreak. Well, no, they're not even ahead on tiebreakers. They seized first place by beating the Colts. They are the lone 9-4 team in the AFC South. Jaguars favored by a whopping 13.5 points. 41.5 over-under. By the way, Trevor Lawrence has an ankle injury. He was limited in practice on Wednesday. That's something to keep an eye on. With or without Trevor Lawrence. I mean, they could bring back Blake Bortles and probably be okay in this one. Do you think the Jaguars covered the spread against the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Now, it's a little scary here, right, as far as the Jets are scary in some ways. But, like, I don't know if I look at them scary this week with going, what the hell is going to happen with their quarterback situation? Right? And where I say they're scary is, like, I know the Jets aren't perfect, but we've seen, like, as you've heard me say, their pass defense can be a pain in the butt. Their special teams seem to make a lot of plays there, right? Other than creating turnovers, okay, their defense is annoying to deal with. But I feel like Jacksonville's got it going right now. Trevor Lawrence is playing about as clean in the pocket decision throws as I've seen in quite some time. They've got the run game going. They're a talented football team, Jacksonville. I don't think they're getting enough credit for as talented as they are. The Jacoby Myers trade they made, it was brilliant. It's paying off. Brian Thomas Jr. looks like he's out of his little funk. So they got the receiver position rolling, the quarterback rolling, ETN's rolling, and the defense, as you've heard me say a lot over the last few weeks, ever since their bye week, has been playing good football. 31-17, Jags keep it rolling. They win the football game.
So you got them covering by a half point. I got 24-13. I'm surprised it's 13.5, but, you know, the Jets haven't been very good. But Aaron Glenn isn't really giving up the fight, even though they did lose in somewhat ugly fashion to the Dolphins. I just think that this is one of those where the Jaguars, I don't think, are going to throw everything at the wall. Like, you know, we're saving a little something for the stretch run. Let's not go too crazy here. Let's just get the win and let's move on. I think 24-13, it just feels right. It feels right, and we'll see how close that is.
Do we know what the lean
right,
is at the quarterback thing with the Jets, right? Do you have a lean? I mean, I feel like I don't really know where this is going. Brady Cook, right? He's got a little injury. Justin Fields didn't participate in practice yesterday. Tyrod Taylor's got a groin injury, which, I mean, usually when you hurt your groin, you're out for more than 1 week. So that's another part of this where I don't know what to expect of the Jets for the quarterback position.
Brady Cook fully participated in practice with an ankle injury. The other two did not practice at all. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. It could be Justin Fields. It could be Brady Cook. It could be Tyrod Taylor. It could be Adrian Martinez, who they signed earlier this week. All right, the Chargers at the Chiefs. This is one of the only games this weekend that has both teams alive. I was going to say very much alive, but the Chiefs are barely alive. They could be mathematically eliminated if they lose. A few other things have to happen. Chargers 9-4, Chiefs 6-7. Kansas City favored again at home against a better team by 5.5 points with a 41.5 over/under. Kansas City has a 63-point differential, plus 63, and are 6-7. At this point last year, they had a plus 56-point differential and were 12-1. That is amazing to me. And the Chargers trying to complete the sweep. They won all the way back in week 1 in Brazil. Do you think the Chargers can make it 2-0 against the Chiefs this year?
Well, I certainly do. I mean, I think they can do that. But at the same time, I mean, how can you not be concerned about the Chargers and the offensive line and what we're seeing here? How could you not be, right? I mean, that was, as you heard me say earlier on PFT today, that was the biggest ass whooping I've ever seen one offense receive ever and still win the football game. I mean, it was torture the whole game. The whole game. It was just 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and it was ugly. It was like, oh, I can't throw to anybody. We're not protected. Let me just run for 3 yards. I'm Justin Herbert. I mean, incredible. They won that game. Okay, but at the same time, I don't know if I feel like the Chiefs can emulate what the Eagles are up front. And, I mean, thank God Jalen Carter wasn't out there last week for the Eagles, or maybe Justin Herbert would be dead today. But, yeah, I don't know if the Chiefs, I feel the same way that they can do that same stuff there. So I look at that and then go, yeah, I feel like the Chargers offense has a little bit more of a fighting chance. I don't think the Chiefs defense is in the same category as the Eagles defense. So because of that, yeah, I favor that. And then the other thing that I come down to here, Mike, and just the matchup, and you've heard me say this, is just that, the Chiefs don't run the ball well enough. And then when you don't run the ball well enough, you know what that means. You can't just think you're going to throw the ball in the Chargers. We've seen that enough already this year. When you become one-dimensional or you're just a pass-heavy team against the Chargers, they're going to make plays. Jesse Minter's one of the best D coordinators in the game. Their secondary is phenomenal. I'm going Chargers on the road, 23-20.
This is the bizarro bingo, bango, bongo. I've got the Chiefs 23-20. I think it's time for the Chiefs to get a win. I think the Chargers are vulnerable. They've got the overtime game that they played late Monday night, traveling to Kansas City. Those are going to be factors here. Justin Herbert's still dealing with the aftermath of the surgery that resulted in a plate and screws in his hand. If the Chiefs don't win this one, their problems run far deeper than just an aberration of a season. If they can't pull it together under these circumstances and win this game, they've got a lot of fixing to do. To the point where you got to wonder whether or not Patrick Mahomes. I'm joking. I'm not even going to finish the sentence.
Well, what I want to say is, how many weeks in a row are you going to say this? How many weeks? They're 1-4 in their last 5 games. I know. It's
Until
funny.
It works.
And I'm not even making fun of you.
I picked the Texans last week.
Right.
I picked the Texans last week.
I hear you.
No. I picked the. I mean, last week I thought that they, as bad as they needed it, they just couldn't pull it off against a team like the Texans. I think as badly as they need it now, they can pull it off against the Chargers because the Chargers are vulnerable, because the Chargers did play extra time on Monday night. They had less time to prepare, a little more wear and tear on the bodies. The Chiefs are far better at home this year than they are on the road. And, hey, if Andy Reid just doesn't make that admittedly ill-advised decision to go for it on 4th and short from his own 31 in a 10-10 game, maybe the Chiefs beat the Texans last week. Who knows? That opened the floodgates the other way for the Texans to take the game. So I'm not ready to give up on the Chiefs. As I've been saying all week, they're my friend who always shows up, and I'm not leaving just because closing time is getting dangerously closer. I feel like they're going to show up at least to pop their head in the door. Sunday against the Chargers, they'll pop their head in the door. All right. Here's one. Here's another. Ooh, this one has some implications for the postseason. The Buffalo Bills going to New England. The rematch of a Sunday night game during which the Patriots beat the Bills and put everyone on notice that maybe the Patriots have something this year. They've won 10 in a row. They're coming off of their bye week. The Bills are favored by 1.5 at New England. The Chiefs. The Patriots. The Patriots clinched the division with a win. You have picked New England straight up and against the spread in all but one game. I'm stunned that this is rocket fuel for the Patriots. Like, to the extent that there was going to be any letdown, the fact that they're underdogs at home after winning 10 in a row, Mike Vrabel is going to get those guys lathered up and ready to go.
I would think so. I mean, that's one where it does become, people don't respect us. Like, you almost got to say that to the team and show everybody and be like, hey, it's Friday morning meeting. If you were asleep and just think we're going to, it's bye week or whatever, if this doesn't wake you up, right? Yeah, like you said, we got the best record in football, and we got a team that just has one guy, basically, and they're going to pick that team to win. I mean, that's what we're saying here. The only thing I worry about in this at all for the New England Patriots is just that coming off a bye week, are they a little rusty, right? That's it. But other than that, they're better than the Bills in every way, in every single way. That's where I'm shocked. I mean, the Patriots are the most complete team in the AFC. The Patriots can run the ball. They can throw the ball. There's play action. They can stop the run. They can come up with creative coverages. They got creative blitzes to come off of that. They're going to have a plan for Josh Allen. And then James Cook is not going to be able to run over the New England Patriots defense. I don't think so. If he does, then, man, maybe the Buffalo Bills win. But again, have we seen a receiver from the Bills anytime? Hello, receivers, are they out there? I mean, again, that's where we are with Buffalo. It's amazing where we are. We're watching the modern-day John Elway carry a less-than team to the playoffs every year. All right? Yeah, I'm taking Patriots 31-21.
Here's where I was on this, and I never do this, but I'm doing it now. I was going to pick the Bills until I saw that the Bills were favored. I'm changing it. The hand was off the checker. It's back on.
It's not off until you say it. If
I would have had any idea, yeah. I never would have dreamed. I never would have dreamed that the Patriots would be underdogs, and I think that provides a difference. I had 27-24 Bills. I'm going 27-24 Patriots.
Yeah, okay.
I really do think that Mike Vrabel will know how to turn that perceived disrespect into something that keeps them from being flat. Look, we saw signs of it in the Monday night game against your Giants. They came out there, and we're not going to have a Thanksgiving week letdown. We're not going to step in a pothole against a lesser team. We're not going to fall for a trap game. We're going to go out there and we're going to start knocking people around. That level of physicality and just sheer violence we saw from the Patriots, I'm reminded of that, even though the Bills need it a lot worse than the Patriots. They need it a lot worse. The Patriots are still trying to chase down that number 1 seed. They need to hope the Broncos falter, and the Patriots need to take care of business. So I've changed my mind now that the Patriots are underdogs. That may change by the time the game starts. Who knows? But for now, 27-24, New England Patriots. All right, here's another potential. It's not a potential clunker. It's a two-way
This is one
clunker.
You cannot weigh. This is one you can wipe off your radar. Don't even watch it. Right.
This is the only game this weekend where both teams are just done, and it's preseason for 2026. Commanders 3-10, Giants 2-11. You have not picked the Giants straight up or against the spread since week 1 when they played Washington. Will you do it again now that the Giants are favored by 2.5 with an over-under of 47.5?
All my teams are winning this weekend, baby. The Bucs are winning tonight, and the G-Men. I mean, we have the number 1 pick right now, right? So that means that we'll it up and we win this week. That's how it goes. We're the G-Men, all right? But, yes, I am going to take them. But bye week, I do still think they're playing, right? I don't think Jackson Dart is going to stop making plays and doing any of that. This Washington defense is not good, as you saw last week against your Vikings. I mean, the first drive of the game, J.J. McCarthy is just like, boom, 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 boom. Hey, touchdown. You guys suck. See you later. No Jaden Daniels. The offense is falling apart a little bit, right? They can run the ball, but they're not good enough in the pass game to scare people off of that. So I'm taking the Giants. Hold on, let me see my score. I clicked off my tab. The Giants 28-21. The G-Men.
I got 23-13 Giants over the Commanders. And if the Commanders don't win another game this year, I just wonder what happens with Dan Quinn. I know that Josh Harris, the new owner of the team, is determined to be the opposite of Daniel Snyder. Snyder obviously would have fired Quinn by now in this protracted losing streak. I just wonder what it means for Quinn. At a minimum, he's on the hot seat next year. Definitely. If they don't win another game this year. But yeah. I think the Giants, you've got Mike Kafka trying to make the case to be the permanent head coach. You've got one rare remaining opportunity to win a game. They're at home. I think the Giants win 23-13, and it's just another reason to just wonder what's up with the Commanders and what changes after the season. The last game in the early window, the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-11, making the trek to Philadelphia. The positivity rabbit is dead. The Eagles are close to it at 8-5. They've lost 3 in a row. They're favored by 11.5 points with an over-under of 38.5. You are 12-1, Chris, picking the winner of Las Vegas games since week 1. That was the only loss. You picked the Patriots to beat the Raiders. The Raiders won. Every other game you've gotten it right, although most weeks a Raiders loss is a good prediction. I assume you envision another Raiders loss.
Yes, right. Again, they're not in the class of the Philadelphia Eagles, right? You know that. Now, do I think there's going to be the boo birds out, literally, and that there'll be moments that the Eagles' offense will get booed? Because I think the Raiders' defense can be a pain in the butt at times. And as we always talk about, the Eagles are so simple on offense. Even the most average of defenses can look pretty good against Philadelphia. But slowly but surely, they're going to beat them down on both sides of the football. That's what you worry about. And you worry about the Raiders. Can they even muster up enough offense to do anything, really? I think it's one of those where it's like 7-0 Philly, then 10-0 Philly. Then maybe the Raiders get a field goal. It's 10-3. And then it's 17-3. And then it's 17-10. And then it's 24-10. And 24-10 will be where it stops. Slow beatdown. Eagles win 24-10.
24-10. All right, my score. And look, I mean, how can we – if the Eagles lose this one, they may be done. I mean, if the Eagles cannot find a way to beat the Raiders, who have fallen apart and are playing for nothing, and we wonder what the changes are going to be after the season, the Eagles are done. I envision a game where it's 27-14 with 3 seconds left, and the Raiders kick a field goal to cover the spread.
You're funny.
Like they did last week against the Broncos. 27-17, final score for Eagles-Raiders. Thanks to that last-second meaningless field goal that means everything. All right, when we return, the Sunday late afternoon games, including Packers-Broncos and the latest rematch between Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff. That's next on Chris Simms Unbuttoned and PFTPM Joint Megapix Podcast. Chris Simms Unbuttoned, PFTPM, Joint Megapix Podcast for Week 15. Only 3 of these left for the regular season. It all changes in the postseason. There's fewer games. We have more time to shoot the breeze, take our time. Now we got to get through these games. 16 this weekend. Let's get right to it then.
Yeah.
The Packers are at the Broncos. Packers, 9-3-1. Broncos, 11-2. Broncos, 10-game winning streak. I don't know how we would research this, but we have a weekend in which there are 2 teams with 10-game winning streaks who are home underdogs.
Yeah.
The Broncos are 2.5-point home underdogs, despite 10 wins in a row, to the Green Bay Packers, over under a 42.5. Denver clinches a playoff berth with a win, and I am 11-2 picking the winner of Denver games. Chris, do you like the Packers? Do you like the Broncos?
Well, first off, I'm not as shocked by this one, right? To me, the Bills being favored in New England, with all the questions we've seen with the Bills and their defense can't stop anybody and they can't have a receiver catch a ball or ever get open, that to me is shocking. This one I can get. I mean, yes, it's Denver, but we know Denver has squeaked by the skin of their teeth pretty much the whole year. And it's a Green Bay team that we all know is super talented on both sides of the ball. And the last few weeks, you started going, damn, they're looking like the Super Bowl team we thought they were. So I can wrap my head around this with some logic there. This is another one. I mean, I find it really interesting, right? Like a little bit of the correlation what I use with the Cleveland Browns versus the Chicago Bears, the defensive craziness by Cleveland, and of course the offensive craziness by the Bears and what they do in that collision. I see kind of the same thing here with Denver. Denver likes the blitz. Denver will leave corners in vulnerable positions. Denver will blitz and play zone. And they're aggressive. Even though they got a front four that can get after the quarterback, I think they blitz and do a little bit of that stuff a little too much, in my opinion. And when you're your normal aggressive selves, as in the Denver defense, I think that's scary against Green Bay. So I'm interested to see their approach, maybe if they change the way they play. Because Green Bay, when you blitz, they usually find a way to block everybody up, and they can protect. And then we know what they want to do when they block everybody up. They're going to throw the ball down the field. And they're a different offense with Jaden Reed on the football field. Jaden Reed's their Amon-Ra St. Brown. He does all the intermediate stuff, middle of the field. Speed sweeps is a big part of his game that adds to the Packers' running game. And now you got Christian Watson who can just run deep, right? And you got Bo Melton who can do a little bit of everything. The tight ends are coming along. And then I just don't know if I have faith in Denver's offense, as we know, to consistently move the ball on the Green Bay defense, right? So I just look at it right now. I think Green Bay's feeling it a little bit. I think they match up well with the Denver Broncos. I think they have real balance on their offense. They can run it pretty good, and I think they can throw it really good. I'm going to take the Packers pulling away late, 28-17.
So you have the Packers covering the spread. Look, I went back and forth on this one. The Broncos, we talked earlier about how the Patriots will feel disrespected. The Broncos equally disrespected at home, tough place to play, at altitude. But the Packers have really snapped out of it. And you're right about Jaden Reed. And Jordan Love is now number 3 on the list of favorites for the MVP, and they see an opportunity to be the number 1 seed. You know, it's all about peaking at the right time, and they are moving in that direction. They had those 2 sluggish home games against the Panthers and then the Eagles, where they scored a total of 20 points. Since then, they've figured it out. They're scoring points. Jordan Love is playing better. 24-23 Packers. So I'm going to give the Broncos the cover, and it may come down to a late field goal or something like that with Brandon McManus, who wasn't he the Broncos kicker at one point? He gets to go back there and kick one of those long-ass field goals at altitude. I think he was. It's hard to keep track of where
I'm pretty
kickers
sure.
have all been. I think he was the Broncos, then the Jaguars, then the Commanders for a very brief period of time, and then the Green Bay Packers. Okay, 24-23 for me. We agree on that one. The Detroit Lions at 8-5. And currently on the outside looking in, it's so weird to see that when you see the NFC playoff picture. It's like, holy crap. The Lions right now are not among the 7 best teams in the NFC. They're taking on one of the best teams in the NFC in the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are favored by 5.5 with an over-under of 55.5. Matthew Stafford won the first meeting between the Rams and his former team. Jared Goff has won the last 2. And 55.5 would be the highest over-under of the season. The Rams clinch a playoff berth with a win. The Lions with a loss are in deep caca. Who do you like?
Yeah, I think this has a chance to be the funnest game of the weekend, right? I think the biggest game of the weekend for me is Packers-Broncos, right? But this game has the chance to be the most fun. Out in L.A., we know the elements are going to be all good. They're inside, basically. You know what I mean, right? All of that. Okay, I mean, yeah, there's a rivalry here. I think that's pretty real, and it does feel like Detroit's got the best of them, right, the last year or two. So the Rams are going to want a little payback. I just look at the Rams right now, and I know they lost 2 weeks ago against Carolina, but I think they're playing pretty damn good football on both sides of the ball, right? They had incredible balance, and I think they can put the Detroit Lions in some uncomfortable positions as far as their defense is concerned. I mean, the Rams showed the ability to kind of run the ball on anybody. And then Detroit likes to play man-to-man, and they don't want people to run on them. But, man, you got to be careful about playing too much man-to-man against the Rams and McVay and Stafford and those receivers. That could get scary in a hurry. And it's the same with the zone stuff that Detroit does. But on the other side of the ball, right, the Rams – okay, you can throw the ball on them, and I think Detroit will be able to throw the ball on them, especially as much zone as the Rams play. I just think Jared Goff is going to have moments of being able to pick them apart. I'm going to pick a shootout here. I'm taking the Rams, but I'm going to have the Lions cover. I'm going Rams 38-35.
Oh, we were close. We were close. I mean, the same concept. I got 30-27 Rams. The Lions were encouraging last Thursday night. Look, the key is get the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs. Get it to him as often as you can. And there's still a place in the offense for David Montgomery, but Jahmyr Gibbs needs to be the focal point. And also, you need to get the ball more frequently to Jameson Williams, which they did to a certain extent on Thursday night. I just don't think it's enough against the Rams. The Rams are chasing down the 1 seed, and I know that this is going to put the Lions in a real bind, and they may miss the playoffs, but this is where they are. This is where it stands. This is the game that's next on the schedule, and I think it's going to be one that the Rams find a way to win. All right, Panthers at the Saints. Carolina coming off of a bye. Saints coming off of their 3rd win of the season. They upset the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. Carolina's favored by 2.5 with an over-under of 40.5. Who do you have?
Yeah, well, I think, again, we know Carolina's got something to play for here. This is one of those games that I think when you talked about at the start of the show where you go, you better be careful. This is a little trappy as far as the game is concerned. The Saints at home, right? The Saints defense has kind of been a pain in the butt lately. Tyler Shuck is getting better, right? He is. You could say what you want. I mean, he's making some plays in the pocket. He's making some plays with his legs. The Saints can run the ball a little bit, right? So all of that, I think they're going to be able to keep it close, but I just don't think they're going to be able to win this football game. I'm going to take the fact that the Panthers can run the ball just well enough. Bryce Young makes a few plays. 20-17 and a squeaker by the Panthers on the road.
Wow, that is a squeaker. Hey, the one big knock on the Panthers, the one comeback you have for Sir Purr when he shows up at your house and gives you a hard time for not believing in them against the LA Rams, the easy comeback is You lost to the Saints. So just get out of here. Get off my porch, Sir Purr. You lost to the Saints. And this is their chance to rectify losing 17-7 at home to the Saints. And to say the Saints got to win for the month. I mean, I know they're not going to just not try, and Tyler Shuck is trying to prove that he's the guy for next year, but the Panthers had time to get ready for this. They have to have been seething about the fact that they lost to the Saints. 27-10, Panthers manhandle the Saints to avenge what happened to them, even though it's not really avenge. They showed up and did their job, and they kicked their ass that day. This is the day the Panthers return the favor. All right, the Indianapolis Colts and old man Phillip Rivers making the trip to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Right now, I think the Seahawks are like they're peaking maybe too early. Right now, they'd be the team that I would not want to play if I'm any of the other 31 franchises in the NFL. They shut out the Vikings. They dismantled the Falcons. Here come the Colts at 8-5 after they were 7-1, and it's all falling apart, and it may be 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. Seahawks are favored by 14 in this one. That tells you what Las Vegas thinks about Phillip Rivers. Over under a 42.5. Who do you have?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I'm going Seahawks 30-13. I'm expecting Phillip Rivers, and this is a hell of an environment to be thrusted into against a team that's hot as hell, as you talked about. I think they're peaking just right. You just keep this going right here, right? They'll be okay, and they still got a few kinks to work out in the offense, but damn, as we know, they're one of the most explosive teams in the sport right now, and their defense against a struggling Colts offense who having a hard time running the ball and breaking any big plays there. It's hard time making big plays in the pass game. It's going to be a quarterback that can't throw the ball down the field in Phillip Rivers. Just not a good recipe for success against Seattle. And then the Colts defense, it's to me, it's just not good enough in some areas. And I think they'll have to worry about that Seahawks run game. And then the thing on top of that is, Sam Darnold playing pretty damn good. We know JSN's real, and they're slowly starting to get more plays for Rashid Shaheed. I'm going 30-13 Seahawks.
I had 27-13 until I realized it's a 14-point spread. So do I make it 27-14 or do I make it 28-13? I'll probably go 28-13. Let me go 28-13. The Seahawks get the victory. And cover the spread. And there's one factor about this that we haven't really discussed, and I know I haven't thought about it. What do the rest of the Colts players think about a guy who hasn't played in 5 years showing up and walking into the locker room twice their age with Dad Gummit and all this other stuff, and Dad Bod and then some, now that he looks a lot thicker than he was when he was playing? Like, you got to wonder if the attitude, like when you get into the hushed corner of the locker room, is, the f*** are we doing?
Yeah,
right? I mean,
a little.
Surely
sure.
At least one player on the team has had that reaction this week. Whether it's accurate or not, I would expect a guy 23 years old, when they're down to Riley Leonard, and here comes a guy who hasn't played in 5 years, and they have to be thinking that. And I just wonder if that causes them to loosen their grip on the rope in this game of tug of war they're going to be playing against the Seahawks. So that's why I went 28-13 instead of 27-14.
Yeah, I get you there. And I think probably it's fair to say in the locker room, though, they're probably going, man, we're f***ed if Riley Leonard plays quarterback, so we don't have a chance there. At least, hey, wait, I used to play with Phillip Rivers on Madden. He's a legend, blah, blah, blah. I think he gives them a little hope. But we'll see where that goes, and of course on the field is going to really dictate their feelings after the first quarter.
Tennessee Titans at the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners coming off of their bye week. The Titans got a win last week in Cleveland. You have yet to pick the Titans straight up or against the spread. It's a 12.5-point margin, with the 49ers kind of quietly lurking and possibly winning the division, possibly being a problem in the postseason, and possibly representing the conference in a Super Bowl that's going to be played in their stadium. Do they get to win number 10?
Definitely. I mean, I don't see the Titans' offense being able to do much here. We've seen San Francisco's offense is starting to pick up a little bit, and at least they're a little healthier, right? After the bye week, Tennessee going out into San Francisco. Honestly, I'm going to break one of my streaks here. Of course, I'm not picking Tennessee to win the game. But I think, Tennessee makes games ugly, right? It's not always easy to blow them out. I'm going to say that they cover the spread here. I'm going to go 24-13. I mean, the Niners win. They control the game, but Tennessee kind of hangs around and, makes them fight for it a little bit.
We haven't disagreed on many games this week. We're not going to disagree on this one. We are disagreeing on the spread, though. I've got the 49ers covering 34-17 and inching closer and closer to what would have seemed like an impossible playoff berth with all the injuries they sustained early in the season.
It's incredible.
All right, we got to take a break. When we return, the primetime games for Week 15, including my longtime favorite team facing my new favorite team. And then my second favorite team on Monday night, some would say. That's next on PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the app and use promo code CORNERBACK when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
And as always, please wager responsibly, only with money that you can afford to lose, because if you listen to me, there's a very good chance that you shall. Sunday Night Football, the Minnesota Vikings, the Dallas Cowboys. I see all these stories out there about the 50th anniversary of the Hail Mary game, and I can say to every person who is writing one of those stories, shove it straight up your ass. I don't want to hear about it. I lived it. And nobody who wasn't alive then cares about it now. Save your ink and save my sanity. I feel better. By the way, the 50th anniversary is December 28th. That's coming up, and it's a game day. At least if the NFL had a sixth sense of humor, this game would have been played Week 17, December 28. That would have only made it worse. I still don't feel much better. The Vikings are 5-8. They are one loss away from elimination. Their chances of making it to the playoffs, even if they win out, supposedly, the numbers people tell me are less than 1%. The Cowboys 6-1. They have a plausible path to the NFC East crown. They're favored by 5.5 with an over-under 47.5. Who you got?
Yeah, well, this is trappish game too. I mean, there's ways here where you look at Minnesota and go, yeah, they match up with the Dallas Cowboys in some ways, and especially with what you worry about when you play Dallas is, can we just slow their offense down, right? That's the big thing here. So one. Right, I think CeeDee Lamb's good to go. I don't know what's going to be there with the concussion, so we got kind of waiting to see how that all plays out. But regardless, this is Minnesota. This is one of the best pass defenses in the sport. I have a hard time thinking that Dak Prescott and company are going to throw for 300 yards and just light up the sky in Dallas on Sunday night against this Minnesota defense. My issue and why I'm going to pick Dallas to win the game is that Dallas is playing better defense now, to where I just don't think Minnesota is going to be able to execute and operate and just go toe-to-toe with them. That's where I look at it. I mean, maybe if this was the Dallas defense from 6-7 weeks ago, I'd go, you know what? This is Minnesota. They're going to upset them. This defense is so bad that even J.J. McCarthy, they'll make enough plays and do that. But Dallas' defense been better, right? This is not the Detroit offense in Minnesota, as we know. And I think that Minnesota can hang around but not win the game. 24-17 Cowboys.
31-20 Cowboys. Look, the Vikings at least, averted a complete disaster of a season, and it felt like it was going that way last week. Jaden Daniels was cleared to play after the elbow injury. I had already picked the Vikings to win before he was cleared. I probably would have changed my pick if I could. In hindsight, I'm glad I didn't and couldn't, because the Vikings won 31-0. I haven't done the research, and I don't even know how to go about doing it. I can't imagine there's been many times in recent years where a team was blown out one week and shut out one week and shut someone else out the next week, from 26-0 to 31-0, shutout to shutout. But yeah, it's time for the Vikings. It's over. I think last week was a little fugazi, a little bit of an illusion, a little bit of a let's just go out there and remind ourselves we can play at a high level. If they had a plausible shot at the playoffs, maybe. I think the Cowboys, who do have that plausible shot, they're going to pull away, they're going to get the victory, and they're going to remain on the Eagles' heels. All right, Monday Night Football. Boy, this one would have been ugly if the Steelers hadn't pulled a horseshoe out of their ass against the Baltimore Ravens in Week 14. They're 7-6. The Dolphins are 6-7. The Steelers are currently in first place in the AFC North. They're favored by only 3 points at home against the Dolphins on what will likely be a cold night in Pittsburgh. Reminds me of the Monday night game from 2007 where the field was so bad and so wet that a punt didn't bounce. 42.5 is the over-under. Who do you have?
Yeah, what do we know what the weather's going to be like in Pittsburgh out there on Monday night? I mean, really, you know my thoughts. I mean, Miami's been playing pretty good football and doing it with, not necessarily the pass game. It's been the run game, and Mike McDaniel's sticking with that, and they're dangerous that way. And then, of course, they start to run the ball, and it opens up the field, and they make some passes, and we know they got some weapons at receiver still, and Jalen Waddle and company, right? But Tua's got to have to be a little bit better. That's kind of what's been lost in translation. Like, Miami's winning, but if you look at it, Tua's been really below average in this winning streak. But the other aspect is, I don't think Pittsburgh's offense is going to be able to do a whole lot on Miami, too. I think Miami's feeling it right now. And I feel like Pittsburgh is going to be too relaxed this week because they beat Baltimore. They're kind of one of those teams, in my opinion. I'm going to take the Dolphins 23-20 in Pittsburgh. Sorry, Renegade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, man. They're going to be chanting Fire Tomlin. They're going to be booing Renegade. It's going to be ugly. The app on my iPhone says that it'll be about 20 degrees at kickoff.
That scares me a
winds,
little.
Maybe gusting up to 22 miles per hour. No precipitation. I got 19-9 Steelers. I just can't imagine after what happened to them the last time around. You get the Dolphins out into the elements. Everything has to go perfectly for the Dolphins like it did against the Jets. It didn't surprise me they beat the Jets last week. Tua was 6-0 against the Jets. When they play a lesser team, their offense works better. When they go against a Steelers team that is kind of feeling it, and they're probably a little salty because people are trying to undermine and demean their win from last week by attributing it to a couple of bad calls, even though it can be attributed to a couple of bad calls because you change those calls and the Ravens probably win the game. That's enough to get the Steelers hyped up and get the 19-9 win. All right, best bets and Folsom Prison Blues pick when PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned Joint Mega Picks podcast concludes right after this. Chris Simms Unbuttoned PFTPM Joint Mega Picks podcast, Week 15, best bets. We each pick one. We each pick 3, but we pick them one at a time. Nice save. You're up.
Well, I thought about the Bears, right? They have their 7.5 point favorites against the Browns. But I with the state of their passing game, it just scares me against the Cleveland Browns. So I'm not going to take that one, even though it's on my radar. First one I'm going with is the Houston Texans. Maybe believe in them is about as much as anybody in the sport right now. Cardinals going the wrong way. Texans.
Texans for me as well. If you haven't heard, their defense is good enough to cover spreads all by themselves.
I heard that. One of the smartest people said that once, I think, right? But yes, 9.5 there. Okay, the next one, the Patriots. 1.5 point dogs at home. Fuck that. Patriots win. I got them winning by 10 points. I'm going with it. I know what to expect from the Patriots.
I thought about that. I pivoted instead to the Panthers, 2.5 point favorites against the Saints. They're going to want to rectify losing to the Saints. 2.5, easy to cover.
I'm going to take another shot here. I'm going to go with the Packers. I know they're favored by 2.5. I think they match up with Denver. I think the Denver win streak comes to a halt. I think the Denver offense and some of their inconsistencies get a little exposed in this one. I'm taking the Packers.
All right, my second favorite team, or maybe third favorite team, I don't know at this point, but the Steelers only given 3 on a cold night in Pittsburgh, desperately needing the win.
You like an Aaron Rodgers,
All right, Folsom Prison Blues, one pick. One pick straight up.
The Eagles are going to beat the Raiders. I mean, I'm not picking the Raiders to beat a Pee-wee team right now.
Yep. And I don't mind losing that one because all hell would break loose if it happened, and it would be great for business. That's it. Enjoy the games.
Yo, thanks for watching, homies. We are now in the NFL season here on Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
Hit subscribe to get our weekly picks, game recaps, film deep dives, and much, much more.
Thanks again for watching. Subscribe, rate, review. Peace out. You know where to find us.